Okay, so once upon a time, I was doing reviews for Majin Bone that I realized I never exactly finished. And it's not so much that I forgot about them, I was just procrastinating hardcore. So it's time to continue that. So we're on episodes 21 through 30. Let's go. On episode 21, they realize that they have to go into steal mode by activating their Majin particles. And Majin particles are basically these like earth elements that are inside of like one concentrated part of their body that they need to spread into other parts of their body for them to be activated, which I thought was weird because they have to use the earth particles. However, the protector of the earth is the dragon bone. So why do all of them need earth particles when they are the protectors of other planets? It didn't really make sense to me. So in order to activate those Majin particles, you actually need to get hit. Kind of like if you break a bone and the bone comes back stronger, you need to basically get hit to the point of no return, and then the bone just kind of like activates itself into steal mode. Kind of like you're hitting me, so I'm protecting myself extra. 21 was a very shonen-esque episode. It was more like you're trusting your friends was the reason why they became their true selves and level up. And it's like, no, you activated your Majin particles and that's what activated the steal mode because you've been training and working harder. Let's not make this any more magical than it has to be. You worked harder, you trained hard, and that's how you got stronger. So in episode 22, we get more Primordial Majin backstory, and we find out that he sent all the other Majins out to the other planets in the universe so they can protect those planets and be their core. So just like Dragon is the core for the Earth, all the other Majins are protectors of their planets, just like, Sailor Scouts. And the Primordial Majin learns that Earthlings have been very disrespectful to the planet. They are greedy, you know how humans do. Primordial Majin says, we're gonna call him PM for short. PM pulls a white diamond and says, yeah, we're gonna have to just get rid of this planet and press the reset button. But then the Dragon Bone pulls a pink diamond and says, I like these people. They're not the best, but I think I like them. 23 was a slice of life episode. We learn more, or we get to actually meet Saho's father and learn more about Shugo's mom. And I honestly have to say, I don't know if I could actually handle a traditional Japanese marriage where as a woman I would have to stay home and take care of the household and the family, and my husband is away for weeks or months on end. Yes, he's sending me money to take care of home, but I want my husband. I want him to be close to me. I want him to be near me and see him, if not every day, then at least every other day or often enough. We had one battle, but it really wasn't relevant to the plot, and we learned more about Shogo's mom, possibly foreshadowing of her involvement with the Majins, that maybe we have no idea what happened to her. They don't say that she died, they don't say that she disappeared, that she kidnapped. This is the closest that we've gotten to actually learning more about both of their parents, and he had to go back to wherever he was, digging excavations somewhere in another country, but he came back one day and then he left the next day in the afternoon. And I'm just like, what's gonna happen to your family? Not to mention, remember from episode 1, his family's house was destroyed when the Dragon Bone made itself appear. So it's my family's okay, they're staying with our next door neighbor. And it's your friend who was a single man, is a widowed man, is now living with your wife, who's probably very lonely. I'm not saying that, you can't give her the benefit of the doubt and trust your wife, but maybe you should stay for more than 24 hours, if even then. I'm just saying. Nothing really happened much in episode 24. We just realized that Lee Bear, or Dark Panther, has had some reservations about her involvement with the PM and her homeworld. She's finding that the people of Earth are much more resilient than she thought that they were, and she needs to start giving them credit for their actions. They're much more humble, they are forgiving, and they're actually quite gracious in their actions. So we see that she's moving more towards the Earth side and kind of disavowing her birthright. Still wants to follow in her father's footsteps, but in a much more lenient and caring and loving way. And her two lackeys, Bear and Grizz, are completely fallen in love with the planet. They're eating the food and learning the language. They're becoming much more acclimated to Earth's traditions and their ways. Episode 25 was really cool because we realized that you can make a double descend, which means that usually you have 3 of them in a row to make one descend, and then you can put them in another, kind of like Scrabble, and make a double descend. So that was really awesome to learn. And then we find out that Luke has suspicions that the director might be a mole, because he's wondering, why is it that every time we show up somewhere, they know where we are? Or how do they always one step ahead of us? How do they know everything that we know, either beforehand or like right when we learn it? So he thinks it's a mole in the facility, and he thinks it's the director who is in charge of the Australian Melbourne facility. Episode 26, we find out that the director is sort of a mole, but not really a mole. But I say he is because he didn't make the job any easier. Tiger and Wolf were kids. They were a part of war. They were in a war-torn country. They were made to be child soldiers. They had a very hard life, and they had to make some really hard decisions. When things were really going sour, the director came to them and said, I want to help you. I want to save your life. And here are 2 cards that will help you be strong in the face of peril. And so he gave them 2 cards. And I'm just like, why would you do that? You have these 2 children who are kind of like at the point where they're not really mentally stable to take on such a responsibility. And he told them, like, they told him, like, look, this doesn't mean anything, okay? We're gonna take you up on your offer because you helped save our life. And in return, he said, you have to make sure that you keep a neutral stance on what you're doing. So help me get more information about these cards. If you find any, bring them to me, and you know, I'll just kind of let you guys do whatever you want. Like, at least with Ladybug, like Miraculous Ladybug, she chose people that she trusted to give the power to, providing that they give the power back. And it worked 100% of the time. They gave the power back. You just give these, you know, unstoppable power to these children who have nothing but destructive thoughts and, you know, death towards humanity. And so when we realize that, yes, I am the reason why they know all the things that you know, and the reason why they are one step ahead of you in sometimes, it's like, dude, what are you doing? You've doomed us all. And it makes even less sense in episode 27 because Tiger and Wolf say, well, whoever is the winner is whoever we're gonna side with. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. I mean, maybe the Earthlings who don't know that what you're up to, they'll take you back because it's like, you know, a certain small circle of people who know what you're all about. But the Nepasians definitely won't take you back. They're gonna know of your betrayal and of your deceit. So even if the entire Earth is like destroyed and shattered, it's like, oh, welcome back, you know, double agent. That's not how it works. So this whole time, there's another dark bone who's been working in the shadows, and his name is Cerberus. And Cerberus has been going to get other bones that have also descended from the primordial Majin as well. And he's been doing it in a much more aggressive manner, let's so to speak. He's pretty intense, but the rest of the council doesn't agree with his methods, but he's just like, I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever I want, and if anyone has anything to say, they can come and talk to these hands. And he's been making a lot of trouble in the council, and he eventually tries to overthrow the leader of the council, which is also Panther's father. So Panther's father's name is Phoenix, and Phoenix has the Majin's ability to control space and time. So Tiger and Wolf, our wonderful double agents, have reported back to the White Bones to tell them that there's calamity and anarchy back on Nepos, and that Panther's father, Phoenix, has been attacked and downgraded, or he's been disposed of in a sense. And they realize, we gotta go back home, I need to rescue my father. So they transport themselves back to Nepos, go into disguise, and they fight a couple people. They weren't really important, and then they end up fighting Dark Wyvern. Wyvern was the one who was the totally kicking ass and taking names from the beginning, but he realizes, I do this all for the primordial Majin's sake. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just doing my job, and if that includes people getting hurt, all for the sake of the grand scheme of things, then I'm okay with that. But then he kind of shifts a little bit, because even though the Dark Panther has disavowed her birthright in a sense, he's like, I still care for you because you're like a daughter to me as well. So he kind of double crosses Cerberus, who he's supposed to be working for, and tries to help them escape and help them get Phoenix out of the pocket dimension, which they do through a lot of good tactical training and hard work. I like that. That was a good thing to see in the episode. And I realized I started really getting into the story at this point. It's like, it's really exciting and you want to just keep watching it. I have these increments where I'm watching the show, and you know, it gets good for a while, and then it kind of lags for a little bit, and then it gets great for a while, and then it lags for a little bit. This is definitely one of those things that kept me like really interested into the progression of the story. And by the way, Nepos is a very beautiful planet. Nepos is kind of biblical in a sense. Nepos has clean air and it's pollution free, and the people live side by side with not only nature of the planet but also the beings of the world. So they're friendly with dragons, they're friendly with all kinds of sea creatures that we would believe dangerous. The food there kind of sucks though, because they don't really have, you know, fats and oils and salts. They basically just drink things out of these astronaut pouches where you just get your basic nutrients. That's the only downside to it. Okay, so episode 30 ended with a super cool battle. It was Wyvern and Cerberus, and they are a really good match. It was intense, it was dynamic, it was fast paced, it was a really awesome battle. And Wyvern unlocks something that we've never seen before. It's a rare metal bone. So he is neck and neck. He's like a really good match for Cerberus, but Cerberus, being so dastardly and evil as he is, you know, it pulls out all the stops and he's trying to fight to kill. It's to the death. And so while they're fighting over on this side, they're trying their best to get him out of the pocket dimension so that he can save them some time. And eventually they do get him out of the dimension and he's safe, but they still haven't gotten his card yet. Because if you remember, Cerberus still has Phoenix's card, to act his Majin card, to help him transform into Phoenix so that he can have the ability to do time and space. So Wyvern trying to get that card back and defeat him, but he's pulling out all the stops, and the effect of the rare metal transformation is having a really hard time with him. And might I just say, Cerberus was super cool. I know he's the bad guy, but I just have a really strong affinity for bad guys in anime. I don't know, I think they're just hotter for some reason, or I can relate to their, you know, their claim or what they want to do. I just have a really strong affinity towards bad guys. I think it's like 'cause I like a strong, ambitious kind of man. I like a guy who gets what he wants. So I think that's why I like kind of cheering for him just a little bit. But he ends up being defeated anyway, and they do get his card back. I'm not sure if Wyvern is still alive, because he had to almost go to complete fossilization in order to get the card back. So he was defeated and the Majins escaped, and so we're back on Earth and we're gonna find out what happens next in episode 31. Thank you so much for being patient with me and following along with me as well. If you want to suggest another anime that you want to watch that I should cover, then please let me know in the comments below. I was thinking of doing God Eater, that came out in 2009. God Eater is from a kind of like Final Fantasy. It comes from a video game franchise, so it's more popular as a game than it is as an anime. So that's a suggestion of me doing that. But if you want me to cover something else, just let me know, and like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this one. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye bye.